Dermot Mulroney.
Well, I didn't picture it so bright in here, for one thing. I just thought Eli and Micah wrote this super cool, complicated. I was scared all the time when I was listening to it. I was scared all the time when I read it. I just thought, yeah, let's just go to work and get scared. And so, yeah, I love everything about the two, maybe 4 Heidis that I played in the show.
It is such an exercise in tension watching the show, and of course we're here in the Directors Guild Theater, and so I have to say, Sam, scientifically speaking, you really directed the hell out of this thing. I have a lot of very precise questions about aspect ratios, but before we get into that,
so riveting.
Yes, it's riveting stuff, which we'll get to later. But what was it in the guys' podcast that really made you want to adapt this into the TV show, and what the look of it is so particular. But if you could talk about developing the visual strategy of this show, it really feels very one of a kind.
Yeah, and actually the answer is I think I have one answer for both. We'll stay economical. But I think when I listened to the podcast, it resonated with me in such a strong way, and I actually binged it in one sitting, and then I binged it again with my wife, and then I binged it a third time. And I think it was in the middle of the third time that I realized what I loved about it was this sort of throwback to these classic thrillers that I loved watching growing up. Hitchcock, Bakula, De Palma, and I just thought, and it was kind of refreshing. Even though it was this throwback, it felt new, because I think nowadays thrillers are kind of action films with some, dramatical twists in between set pieces, but they're not about people or relationships or the lies that they tell each other or the lies they tell themselves. And I just thought there was something really classic but new about this story, and that led to the visual conversation right away, because I just drew inspiration from all those guys I just mentioned, De Palma, Bakula, Hitchcock, and that just kind of informed everything from there. And that was the other thing, I didn't want to just be redundant with the podcast. I knew I wanted to make something different with the show, and I think tonally that's the sort of tone, that's where my brain went, because I wanted to kind of imprint that on the show.
Well, and
I knew it.
We have palm trees too. And
Wait, is he coming? Do you think he can hear me talking over a microphone? Can I just tell you this? In 187,000 days of shooting, he was never late.
Never late.
So I know you're pretty.
I'm sorry I'm late.
Stephan, it's great that you showed up here. We were just talking about you for the last 20 minutes. But Dermot was just kind of talking about what it was like working with Sam Esmail, the director, of course, on some of the more difficult to film sequences of Homecoming. And I was just wondering, your character, he's carrying around so much psychologically, but from the start, he's really radiating what I would describe as kind of a sunniness, or at least there's a lot of lightness there too. What was it like, sort of balancing that with him, especially in these kind of earlier scenes of him kind of getting to know Heidi?
Yeah, for me, what was most exciting was the journey that I knew that Walter was going to have to take throughout this 10-part series. He comes in as sort of this innocent, naive in a little bit of a sense. He's Exhibit A. He's Exhibit A for this, what's happening.
They had a timer. Yeah.
Recreating the feel of working at Homecoming, it sounds like. So the fourth row back here.
I was familiar with the podcast, but if we then go 4 years later to 2022, are we not supposed to see kind of time references, or are you trying to show things like the iconic record player, trying to mix with time? Is it really for you?
It gets so meta so fast, doesn't it? It's gonna mess with your mind all night. No one's sleeping. I hope you're good with that.
I mean, just to answer that question, I think we were just trying to go for a more timeless thing. We didn't want to go too sci-fi with that. And we also
Stephan, I was like, And Dermot, and I was like, this is getting good. What about you, Stephan?
Yeah, for me, I mean, the podcast was the first podcast I ever heard, and I was in love with it. I was so intrigued by it, that, this world that I had been sort of diving into, and I knew Sam Esmail's work, Mr. Robot, thought he was incredible, and then I saw that this little actress Julia Roberts was also attached, and yeah, for me it was sort of a no-brainer. I sent in my tape, to Sam, and then next thing you know, I was like on a plane to LA about to chemistry read with Julia, and I don't know, just crazy. It all happened really, really fast. 14 audition sides later. And we made it happen.
Did you hear all that empathy?
Yeah, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. You guys feel my pain. It was tough.
That's the actors out there.
What was the
Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Great work, Julia.
Step down, please. Do not step on the. Step down, please. Stay down.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to make your way to the reception, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julia, I worked with you on Hook. How are you?
Hi.
Great work.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to make your way
Good
to the
luck.
reception area.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Great work, Julia.
Step down, please. Do not step on the. Step down, please. Stay down.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to make your way to the reception, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julia, I worked with you on Hook. How are you?
Hi.
Great work.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to make your way
Good
to the
luck.
reception area at this time, please. Thank you, folks.